My name is Jamie. I'm one of the sketch artists here at the Walt Disney World Resort. And this class is super fun. We're actually going to be drawing Jack Skellington here. This is going to be your finished product when it's all said and done. And those of you who are a little bit nervous about drawing this character here, you're in luck when it comes to like Tim Burton style. Like the grungier looks are better usually. So if you're a little worried about how it's going to look in the end, I promise you, you'll love your Jack Skellington. So with all of our characters, we start with some basic construction lines and we're going to do like some guidelines and stuff so we can place all of his proportions and his features just so. But in doing so, I always encourage everybody to draw really lightly at first, and I'll let you know different lines that we can darken in as we go along. But like with a lot of our characters, we're going to start with a central shape, and for Jack Skellington here, that central shape is going to be a circle. Now make sure when you're drawing your circle, you give yourself some room for his bow tie, which is pretty big as far as how long it ends up being. So, to start off with Jack here, I'm going to draw a nice circle. And again, this definitely does not have to be a perfect circle. Because like I said, Tim Burton has a really unique and sort of grungy style, so imperfections are usually highlighted and encouraged here. I want to make mine a little bit darker so you can see it there. Alright. So you see, when I start drawing, I usually go over my circles quite a few times before I get them right. But just sort of get a feel for it as I'm going along. Alright. So, the next couple lines we're going to add are going to be the guidelines, and this will help us place his eyes and his mouth, and it shows the overall general direction that his head is going to be pointing in. So I like to start from the one that goes from the top to the bottom, except we're not going straight down the bottom just because he's not looking straight at you. He's looking down and a little bit to the left. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a curved line goes right across there. So it's makes this nice sort of like a little moon shape here on the side. That adds a little bit more perspective to the drawing once we know where we're going there. And again, we're still drawing really lightly at this point. Alright, so our next guideline is pretty much going to cut this circle in half, just not straight across. It's going to cut it across diagonally here, but again, we want to have a nice curved line. So if you kind of have your paper turned, you can see it does cut the circle in half, just not straight across. I want to avoid a lot of straight lines in this character. Keep them nice and curved. And we're going to do another one that's parallel to this one that we just did here, except it's closer to the top. Just like that. Here's our bottom one, and there's our top one. You see it only leaves a little bit of his head left. There at the top. And this is actually going to help us control the height of his eyes, to keep them proportional. And we'll worry about a smile in just a moment. Alright. Now to start his eyes, it's a lot easier to block him in with a simple shape, so we're going to block him in with some ovals. I'm going to start with the left-hand side here. So if this is the side of my circle, I got to darken mine a little bit. I got a little lines in here, just so you guys can see better. So if that's the side of my circle, I'm going to draw an oval, just like this. That's right in between those two lines that we just drew. And you see it's pretty narrow, just because I want to keep it in between this line and the side of his head. And again, we're drawing really lightly, because his eyebrows are going to be pointed downwards, so we're going to cut off the top of that oval in just a moment. Alright, so we're going to draw another oval in this space here. This one's just going to be a little bit wider, because it is a little bit closer to us. But you see, it still sits pretty much in the middle of that section there. And again, we're still drawing nice and light. And to get him his little expression here, what we're going to do at the top of the left eye here, we're going to draw a curved line. And you see it's outside of our oval here. But it's going to come down inwards just like this. And right about the halfway point, it's going to curve right back out. So see, that's just us pulling his eyebrow down. And then we're going to do the same on the other side, so right about the halfway point, we're going to cut off the top of that by going all the way up. So it's almost like this sort of stretched out S shape. And you can see it goes a little bit past our original oval there. Gives it this nice little angry looking expression. At this point now, you can actually outline the bottom portion of this oval that we drew. All this stuff right here. Just remember, you don't want to do the top portion because we want him to have that angry looking face there. Unless you want to draw a happy Jack Skellington, you definitely can. Alright. So still focusing a little bit of attention on this left eye here. He does have these little lines that come down on either side of his eyes. You see they follow the same basic curve of the eye, but they just come off right at the bottom there. So they almost sort of look sunken in. And if you want to add a couple little extra lines in there to give it a little bit more texture, you can. It's, like I said, the rougher it usually looks, the better when it comes to Tim Burton's work. If you want to, you can toss a little bit of shading in there. Of course, as being a skeleton and all, these are all black. If you hold your pencil sideways, you can usually shade it in a lot quicker. I'm just going to do that in real quick so you can see it. It's already coming along. Alright, and he does have two little nostrils here, and they sit right on top of this guideline that we made that his eyes sit on. And there are two little ovals that sort of point at each other, and they're on either side of this vertical line here that we drew. You can kind of see them there. Now at this point, you can actually outline all of this outside circle that we drew for his head. The smile sits right inside there, so most of his head is done. I'll turn it on real quick. There we go. See that? It's already coming alive. Now to add in Jack's smile, he's got a pretty huge smile, so I usually start right about where the bottom of his eye is, over here on the left-hand side. And over on this side of his face, it's pretty flush with our original circle here. That's not until you start getting down to the bottom where you see it coming up just a little bit. And see, it doesn't really go much higher than that in this position, but it does go all the way back up to above his eye there. Not all the way above, just right about there. Oh, he doesn't have a perfect curve of a smile either, so it ends up having some little curves and bumps to it that definitely enhances it there. So finish this off like right above that horizontal line we made. And that you can go ahead and darken that to I'm going to go ahead and do. Alright. And if you're familiar with the character, he has all these little lines around his mouth, kind of look like stitches. So we're going to add those in. And when you do add those in, you kind of want to vary the different directions they go in. And I'll kind of show you what I mean. So if we have one going up like this, we don't want to go like straight down. We want to bring it out just a little bit there. We want to have a little bit of fun with these. We don't want them to be perfect. And you can do something that cross over like this and make sort of an X shape there. Just make sure when you are on the sides of his head here that you're rounding them off with the natural flow of his head there. So the only ones that are going to be straight looking on are going to be the ones like in this section. So again, when you get up to these top portions here, you want to keep it round like with the shape of his head there. You want to follow that sort of natural flow. And again, if you want to have some fun, cross some of those over, you can. So you definitely don't want these to look perfect. There's not really any wrong way to do this. Bring his neck down a little bit, so we'll just show a little bit of his outfit here. He's got a pretty fun bow tie, so I like to draw that. So, right about in the middle of our circle here, we can draw in his neck. And his neck is super, super thin, but it's not a straight line. What it actually ends up doing is it curves in just a little bit there from the top. See, it's real fun. I usually start right about there, so I usually make about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. And that line can be dark. Just having it. All right, so now his bow tie is kind of like a little stylized bat. So this we're going to start sketching out real lightly. So we're going to make this sort of upside down egg shape here, right at the end. And coming right off the edge are these two little points. Right up like that. And we're simplifying this quite a bit as we're drawing it. There's a lot of detail in his outfit that we really don't want to get into. So you can outline all of this line work here at the start of his bow tie. And it does have these little eyes on it too. The next part, we definitely want to draw lightly because we're going to make this huge sort of blocky bow tie shape before we get into all the little details that go in with it. So what we're going to start off with, right about the middle point of our weird little bat head, what we're going to do, we're going to bring a line coming out like this. And again, we're drawing real lightly. We're going to bring it down like that. I'm going to bring it back in. The only reason we're blocking this in, just so we know how far out our bow tie is actually going to go, because the actual shape of it will be more like a little scary looking spider legs. So we'll do the same on the other side. Bringing it up, down, and meeting it back up again. That weird little bat head. This portion requires kind of like a lot of like pretty curved lines that are pretty long. So a good trick to getting a nice smooth line is to move your arm and not just your wrist. I'll kind of show you here. So I don't want to have this little straight line. I'm going to curve mine in a little bit like that. So to get that smooth line, like I mentioned, just moving your whole hand. You'll start moving your whole arm to get that nice smooth curve there. he's got 3 points to his bow tie here. And they're pretty sharp points here, so I'm going to lightly kind of sketch that in to show you. So it goes in quite a bit, and it comes right back out to another point. And so the middle point is usually the longest, and it's going to go right back in again. And it's going to finish off at our other little corner there, just like that. And then that's when it'll connect right up again to that head. And you see at the bottom here, I didn't follow that harsh flat line we have there. I'm going to curve it in again. Just like that. And so the inside here sort of makes sort of like a wild W or M shape in there. And again, we're simplifying this a good bit, considering he is a 3D character. Alright, on the same on the other side, you definitely want to have more curves in here. And the first one I'm going to start off with is sharp point coming up. And when you bring it in, pretty thin at the end. And then the middle one, like I said before, I usually make that one the longest. And we got a nice one. So what's fun with this is it doesn't have to be clean line work or symmetrical or anything like that with Jack. Because like I've mentioned quite a few times, it ends up looking better when it's not perfect. Alright, I'm going to finish off that line right there. Just real quick. Now his actual costume is all black with white pinstripes, so we don't really have that kind of time. So whenever you want to, and you have a moment, if you want to shade in all of this little bow here, definitely more than welcome to do that. I usually like to add a little bit, a hint of something in there. Alright, so of course my favorite thing to do at the end of my classes, aside from signing my sketch, which is super important, is I like to ask a trivia question and give my sketch away. And my rules are super simple. I just ask that you let me ask the complete question first, and then you don't blurt out the answer, but you raise your hand, and whoever raises their hand with the correct answer gets to take this lovely drawing of Jack Skellington home. And so my question is,
ready, honey?
Who are the 3 characters in charge of kidnapping Sandy Claus?
Lock, shock, and barrel.
Lock, shock, and barrel. That is correct. Good job. Happy birthday. You're welcome. All right, so that concludes Jack Skellington here in this class. We're going to take a short break for about half an hour. When we come back at 7:30, we're going to be drawing Max from a Goofy movie. If he's a character you want to tackle, we're going to bring it up again at 7:30. At 8 o'clock, we're going to be drawing Panchito, one of the 3 caballeros. And then our very last one for today is going to be at 8:30, which is going to be Darkwing Duck. So if those are any characters you're interested in drawing, we're going to start again at 7:30, 8, and 8:30. But I hope you guys enjoy drawing Jack Skellington, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.